All right. Hello. If anybody can hear me, welcome. Welcome to the INFJ Experience Live. And hopefully I can see if this is broadcast. I just want to make sure it comes up on my laptop here. So, people, this is the time, and hopefully I can get a live chat going here. So let's see. It takes a couple of minutes for my screen to come up, and it'll tell me that I'm okay. What do I have here? Okay, no. All right, it's showing that I'm live here. It does shade. Just give me 1 second, people. Okay, yes, it says I'm live. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just trying to join the conversation, interact. Let's see, open panel. All right, I'm just trying to find my screen chat here. So anyway, hello people. I can't see your responses yet, but if you're out there, welcome. Hello, how are you? It's good to see everybody. Just so you know, we have progress in the channel. We're up to over 300. As of the time I made the announcement, we went up 7 more subscribers, which is wonderful. And welcome to everyone. All new subscribers, welcome. If you're here. So, free waiting schedule. Just thank everybody. Yeah. Oh, all right. So we are attempting here to. I'm just trying to get the screen look going here. Where am I? It takes a little bit of time just to get this going up here. Let's see. That's upcoming. So. We have, for some reason, I'm not getting my screen chat yet. It should be coming up here, live chat. So, yes, so we do have, like I said, we have the 300th subscriber here. I'm trying to get the live chat going here. I'm showing that I have, oh, somebody just joined. Hello. I just saw the number just go up as I'm talking to you. So, I'm looking. Hopefully it comes up in a few minutes. It adjusts and it will begin here at some point. And live. Here we go. Is that where I am? Let me see. Oh, hello. Hey. All right. I got it. I'm right here.
Hey. All right. I got it.
Hold on. Hold on.
Hey. All right. I got it. Hold on.
Gonna give me a little bit of time here. You know, I'm not a full-time video live guy, so when I do get situated, it takes a little bit of time for me to catch up to all this stuff. I had to turn myself down. So I got myself live here. Hey, all clear. Okay, I'm looking for the. Okay, I get the live chat going, and so like I said, we are moving forward here. The progress is fantastic with the channel. So we're up to 300, and just like I said, it just another one subscribed, which is great. So, but I got to tell you though, people, I'm really pleased with everybody that is part of this experience, and of course, this is just one of the things that's really helping me along as well. It's helping me to stay focused. It gives me a purpose. It gives me a certain level of. Cats in the cradle of hi, cats in the cradle of hi. Good to see you there. Yeah, but it's really given me a whole lot of, like I said, purpose. Just gives me something to do, something to look forward to. Making the videos, seeing the responses, seeing some of your comments. It's really heartwarming. It really is. It is nice for that. So, well, thank you. Nice work. And who do we have here? Okay, this is somebody I have. Let me see. Spect? Oh, hey, Spect. Hello, Spect. How are you? That's, yes. So, good to see you in the audience here with me here. So, yes, but as far as content and things like that. Like I said, it's been relatively 3.5, almost 4 months since they started this program, and yeah, it's coming along very well. But if anybody's coming on in here, it's nice to. Well, of course, it's nice to be able to talk with other INFJs. Exactly. That's the main thing, is the fact that being that INFJs are rare, and it seems as though, I mean, what are they? 1%, 2% of the population worldwide. That's very rare. And the fact is that these outlets, these channels, I mean, it's like putting honey and to attract flies. It just they come, they show up when you. I mean, typically, I mean, what is the old saying? You know what I mean? You want flies, you attract honey. I can't remember. It's just a metaphor. But yeah, there's not many INFJs, but it seems like you think there's quite a few of us, because we all seem to glom on to these channels, these networks, because we know we're rare, and all of a sudden we hear people talking that think like us. All of a sudden something testifies to the way we think and the way we are, and it just, we kind of know that's our people. It's like, okay, a lot of times people don't think like us. I mean, I don't think I've ever personally ever bumped into an actual INFJ. And if I have, I got a few people through history that I think may possibly have been. When you go back and you think and say, you know, this someone so-and-so, maybe they were an INFJ without me even knowing what they were at the time. And there's maybe, I can count on my hand, maybe how many times I've thought that. Although I didn't actually confirm anything. It's just, there's very few people that I ran into in the course of my lifetime that I suspect that. So I do have an interesting story I've been waiting to tell you. All right. I just wanted to wait for the right time. I'm speaking about INFJs and the rarity, and about, so I have a lot of concerns, a lot of like questions as far as well, the thing is that my mom passed away a little over 4 years ago. And she's, you know, it was her time. She was 88 when she passed away. But growing up now, I honestly believe my own mother was possibly an INFJ. I just, after I discovered the MBTI, now this is long after she passed away. This was about a year after I started finding out about MBTI types, INFJs, started researching into this kind of thing. But honestly, I think, now that I think back, my mother was she was a very spiritual woman, she was Christian, Catholic, but she used to tell stories about, she told me stories about her childhood, and certain traumas that she had involving her stepfather. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but, and even one of her older brothers, she said that she remembers things happened along the way. And I think that there was some trauma in my mom's life in those early years. And she told me how she ended up meeting my father. And, you know, they eloped, they ran off and got married, kind of thing like that. Well, she had five sons. I'm the youngest out of 5 boys. So, but along the way, there were stories about my mom. I mean, even my older brother said that she would say things well before I was born. Like one of my brothers said that he kept doing something. He kept running into something a certain way, and she kept saying, if you keep doing that, you're going to break your arm. Or, you know, there was a story that she predicted he would break his arm. You know, so I'm like, okay, so she was just intuitive. She must have been intuitive. And there was other stories like that. They said she was almost like a witch. Like she could see things and say they were going to happen, and they did. So these are little stories that I heard even before I was born. But knowing my mom, knowing she would lighten up when it came to, let's say, deep conversations about spirituality, about the depths of space, about time, travel, continuums. I mean, things like that perked her up. I do remember that. So she liked deep conversations, and small talk wasn't really her thing. And one of the most enlightening things for her was when she would have just like Sunday conversations. She would sit down with me and a couple of my other brothers, and she would just start talking about things. She liked our conversations. You know, sometimes it was about spirituality, about Christianity, about, like I said, you know, the mysteries of space and things like that. So, and it perked her up. And sometimes I remember her like almost like feeling like it was like she'd hold her heart like it was just like overwhelming her, like she was full with joy with these conversations. So I put these things together, and just the way she had that certain look in her eyes, she could stare right through you, she could look right into your soul. So I put a lot of these things together over the years, and she was introverted. She could spend an entire weekend just at home watching Columbos and watching these old shows. So yeah, I think my mom, it's a good possibility. I mean, she was INFJ. I just from what I know about her. Now, whether or not I inherited it, whether or not it was passed down, that's what another thing got me thinking was, is INFJ, our personality types, passed down hereditary? Are they passed down, or is it strictly the fact that we are, childhood trauma, things like that relate to it? With me, I think if anything, it's almost a combination of both. It would seem in a way. But I was meaning to do that. I was meaning to tell the audience that I think that's what my mom was. I think she was a INFJ. So, but yeah. So anyway, let's check some of these. What do we got here? What do we got going on here? I'm gonna just check some of these. Like agreed, doing good. Oh, Spect is doing well. All right. Thanks, cats. Hey, I'm kind of glad that. Oh, good. Are some of you people friends out there with each other? I would think so, right? I would think. I mean, this is another thing. I mean, just this channel, other channels, the INFJ channels, you start seeing other texts from other INFJs, and you have see things in familiarity with other people. Yeah, and you start building a bondship with other people on the channel. You just start texting back and forth. I've seen friendships like that involved. That's awesome. That's another thing. That's why it's kind of that's why it's like a safe haven here. It's like a community in itself, and of course we have the ability to just connect in that way, which is awesome. I guess that's what these are all about. That is absolutely what these are about too. So yeah. I never really knew anyone in my family. They all passed away before the age of 60. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, you know what? Most of my family, I have two brothers left. Out of 7 members, my parents and 5 brothers, I have 2 brothers left, remain, and myself. So there's 3 of us left. And I'm the youngest out of the bunch. My parents passed away, and I lost 2 brothers already. And it's, I guess that's just part of life. I mean, that's kind of what happens as you get older in life. We tend to lose our families. This is the only channel where this is the only channel that was clear and spoke to me. Oh, you mean me? Oh, spoke? Well, thank you. You know what? Listen, I know there's a lot of INFJ channels, and some of them have helped me greatly. Now, some of them they focus a lot on, how do you know you really are an INFJ? And here's the 20 lists, and they tell you, well, one thing is you're very perceptive, or you're very, future planning. And then they go into details. They keep going down like lists and things. Now that does help a lot in a lot of ways, but I think my approach to this is I just try to be regular and down to earth and things like that, and just try to be myself. That's above all. I said, you know what? Listen, be yourself. Don't try to be anything. Don't try to like embellish yourself to a point. I want to be who I am, and what I speak, the way I say things is just who I am. I just want to be that common guy. But I have experiences, and that's why this is an experience, because our life is just that, because we have memories of just having experiences in our life. And being that the INFJ, introverted, feeling, intuitive, we're all of those functions, and the way we process things, as rare as we are, and the way our mind thinks, it's not conventional. We don't have a mind process like a lot of other types. Now, of course, introverted intuitives, there are 4 introverted intuitives, and of course the other other two letters that are in their type will they align differently, but they all have similar depth in their mind and their reasoning. The way they have a certain dimension, almost an abstract thinking in their mind, where their mind just goes other places, where it just has like I said, almost like another dimension. Now, the introverted intuitive types, being that INFJs are one of them, INTJs are very similar, INFPs, INTPs, they all have that same similar mindset, that introverted intuitive, being like that's their primary dominant function. And a lot of them have that way of just looking at the world abstractly. But it's hidden. I mean, it's in the mind. It's just in that realm of almost like that dimension. And I know we know what we're talking about, because that we see into that, we can tap into that. And there's at times I've noticed, speaking of that realm of the dimension of that part of our mind, that abstract realm, it's almost like something that you can just tap into at will. You can kind of almost like project yourself, like, think about, okay, I need to think of something. I need to problem solve something. And right away, you can almost see something open, like a portal, mentally. And just, you start trying to throw that idea into that realm. You put it out there, like, okay, I want to think about this. Okay, all of a sudden, you threw it there. You just threw it out there. So it's like all of a sudden you want that realm to kind of submerge in it and take it and just start pulling it apart, start dissecting it, start analyzing it the way it does. It's almost like you throw it out there, almost knowing it's going to just do it on its own, like almost involuntarily. So I think most of the introverted intuitives have that ability, that realm that they can just tap into at will. And a lot of times you just throw something out there, it's almost like we've been conditioned ourselves to almost understand that it's just our laboratory, in a sense. It's our mental laboratory. You just take that idea and you just throw it in there, knowing that it's going to just start getting figured out. And it might take hours, it might take days, it might take a little bit of time, and you might tap back into it every so often. Then it's almost like it bounces back to your logic. Okay, kind of brings it back. Okay, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Does this make sense to you? It's like, you kind of pick pieces out, you throw it back. In some ways, we have control of it. We have actual control. Occasionally, though, we go into these INTI loops, which we have no control when we obsess about things. And of course, it goes back and forth almost obsessively. Now, those are things that we have to be careful about. But on occasions, when we have good control over our functions, we have that ability to just almost use it as like a tool, that introverted intuition. It's, like I said, like a realm. You just kind of open up and throw that thing in there, throw that idea in there. So I'm going to check some of your comments there. Okay. Agreed, be yourself. Yes, of course. Be fair. We would like to know otherwise. Uh-huh. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. I never really knew anyone from my family. Okay, yeah, I saw that. Cats in the Cradle. It's good to hear from. Yeah, you were on my last broadcast as well. This is my last live. You are always there. I've noticed that. Oh, by the way, can you tell me, how is your gazebo? How's your birds doing? How is that? I know you got your garden. I know you sound like you just love your garden. I know you must have a beautiful garden. I can only imagine the beauty of that thing. Okay. I know winter's on the way. Well, we got a few months for that. It's springtime, but hi, welcome to Omega Clan. Omega Clan, huh? The clan, huh? Yeah. Honey to attract bear. LOL. That's funny. I don't have. All right. I'm pretty sure my mom was. Oh, okay. Hello there, LJT. Hello there. Good to hear from you. Okay, so I'm pretty sure my mom was an INFJ, but she died before I started figuring out my own personality and I never had the chance to talk with her about it. Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, you know what? Like I said, I told my story. I mean, my mom was 88 years old when she passed away. I mean, I had plenty of time. I had plenty of experience as she grew up. I mean, she loved to talk. She would love to just. That's one thing I do remember about my mom. She would just like to lecture, not lecture, but talk about her experience, about things about life. And she got very, very deep and very complex about things. She got very metaphysical about things and spiritually deep. And that's another thing that makes me think so. But yeah, but then again, at that time, had no idea what MBTI was. And that was until a little over 3 years ago I figured that out. And she had already passed away. Yeah, the gazebo was fine. Weather has been dreary, so I've been staying indoors and recovering from yet another auto accident. Another one? Good gosh, you mean from the one you told me about before? You said you had a neck injury. You said you had a permanent whiplashes. I mean, you've been through a lot. I mean, this is a recent one? You mean that? Good gosh. You know, yeah, so that's basically what we got going on. But I've noticed that now that we're over 300 subscribers, and yes, the channel by no doubt is growing. 6 are watching now. Started streaming. Okay. Well, there's 6. Okay. And but yeah, but after it seems like it was a climb to get to 300. But I knew never give up. Just never give up on that, and just continue on. And you know, sometimes I watch these videos on YouTube, not necessarily INFJ ones. You know, a lot of these advice on, you know, channel building, and they all tell you basically the one thing you can do is never to give up. A lot of times, creators get frustrated; they just stop making videos, and then they say, "What's the use?" and they stop. And that's one of the biggest things that they do that kills their channel. Just to be consistent, like anything, you just don't give up on things. Oh, cats in the... Yes, it happened 2 weeks ago. I got T-boned in the driver's side. Oh my gosh, I'm okay, thanks, Tom. You got bad luck driving, cats in the cradle. I mean, I'm sorry to say that. It sounds like you got bad luck in that behind the wheel. I'm really sorry to hear that. T-boned on the driver's side. I'm now 2 weeks ago. Well, you're talking to me. You're still with me, so at least you survived this one. I see. Are you shooken up, or you have any other injuries? Did you have to go to the hospital for anything, or is that just what happened? I mean, you T-boned, or but. But anyway, yeah, let's see. The gazebo's fine. I just read that. Let's see. Speaked. Let's see. I'm going to try to see what else we got there going on. I'm just going to check some of the chats. Okay. Okay. There we go. Just, yeah. Okay, just checking some of the chats. Okay, just some of the fractures? Question mark? Yeah, that's right. I was wondering if you had any fractures as well. Speaked, SPEKD. I hope I'm saying your word right, your name right. I'm sure that's a handle or a nickname of some kind. But Speaked is, yeah. No, I hope you're okay. Cats in the cradle of love. Yeah, definitely. You sound like you have bad luck, but you've been into a few auto accidents. You were talking to me about one also. But please be careful out there. But you get T-boned. I mean, if you were T-boned, then they hit you. I don't know the gist of it, but that's not very good. But yes, I was thinking to myself originally. I thought, well, I could make this live broadcast on the next 500th milestone. I thought, no, let's go 300, because I really look forward to talking again. I want to go live. I just want to do a live chat again. Now, there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about also, about some of the videos that I had produced. And maybe, if you ever have any questions about any of the videos. Now, I have in one particular one, it's actually took off pretty well, and it's still accumulating. If you remember the Frankenstein syndrome, now that just came to me all of a sudden. I mean, I was hearing a lot of little things about that pieced together. I heard other INFJs talk about how they seem to have certain role models in their life, certain individual people that they idolized when they were young, just as children. And it seemed that a lot of them had this, where there weren't just one, there were bits and pieces of different people, characters that they emulated, that they wanted to confide in a sense. And so so I computed this thing and said, is this like a whole psychological event that INFJs go through? I mean, that it's not just one particular confiding, it's many, that they Frankenstein, they take bits and pieces of characters from different ones. But my father and Optimus Prime. Oh, Optimus Prime. Yes, yeah, that was from Transformers. Yes, that's right. And your father. So you had a good dad. Yeah, I didn't have much of a dad. I mean, I've met my father a few times. My mom and dad got divorced when I was about 3 years old. So I never really had a chance to spend that much time with my father. I met him a couple times, but he lived across country too. He lived in San Diego, and I lived in Boston. Well, a city north of Boston, I should say. Excuse me, please. But yeah, as far as that goes, I mean, that was one of my better assessments that I noticed that video, for whatever reason, really took off on this channel as well. When I put that up, I put it up a little over a month ago, and it's well over 1,000 views on that, and it seems like it's attracting. And so I thought, well, they keep telling you there's going to be this video that's gonna kind of go viral. I mean, to me, that's viral. It went up. Right now, it's about 1,300 views. To me, that's viral. I mean, I see some of these YouTube creators with, 50,000, 100,000 views, millions. Some people go million views on certain videos. I mean, you see some of them, and you see some of the numbers on thing. I mean, but then I figure what that was more than enough of an accomplishment at that point. But if you have any questions about anything, if I said anything on a video that you want a little more clarity about, I would be happy to elaborate a little more on things. I try to be clear. I try to make as much sense as I can, but I also have to make sure that, again, like I've been noticing lately, I know I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit. I'm just trying to keep talking. But now, when I do the shorts and things like that, I've been noticing lately, I feel like I'm getting over perfective on making these. Early on when I'd make them, I'd put out one. I just say what I have to say. And after one take, maybe two, I'd be fine, and I'd send it. And now it gets to the point lately, it's like, okay, I got to say everything just right. And then I rehearse it a little bit. And I make say it, and it's like that was a practice run. Then I do another one. Oh, I kind of left that part out. Oh, let me try it again. Then I sometimes I end up doing like 4, 5, 6, 7 of them before I send a short. Now I'm like, okay, is that because I'm getting overly perfective, or what is that? But don't forget, we are rare. That's right. Yes, we are rare. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's what I've been noticing too. It's like, well, wait a minute. Some of the better shorts I did were like when I just kind of said them without as many takes, but it's all right. I guess the thing is, I'm trying to, as I get practice making these videos and the shorts and things like that, I want them to be good. I want the content at least to be good. I don't want it just to be shoddy, like I threw it together and things like that. So, but yeah, so that's basically what I guess. So we got 29 minutes, and so anyway, people. So I know some of where you're from. Cats in the Cradle. You were from you're from Virginia, right? I think you said you were from somewhere in Virginia, Now, is anybody from outside of the United States? Anybody from the UK? Is there anybody from, well, maybe Australia? Well, if it was anybody, it would probably be 4 in the morning right now. It would be pretty late. Oh, you spect. You're from the UK. All right, awesome, awesome. Yes, and you're in Virginia, cats in the cradle. All right, yeah, and I'm up in New Hampshire, U.S. of A. here. So I'm actually just a few minutes away from Lake Winnipesaukee. In fact, I went up to the lake a couple of weeks ago. I did a couple of videos right there on the lake, having that as a backdrop. I do love that lake. I mean, I do love water. For some reason, I get attracted to bodies of water, things like that. I mean, just like I like the calmness of a lake when you look at it with the shimmering, the kind of waves as the sun hits it, and it's kind of calm, and it just kind of waves and all the sparkles on there. There's something about that water, especially when it's calm. It's just so calming to me, just to look out on water, a calm water, and it's it calms my insides. It's like it just kind of reflects back, like how still waters almost. You know, like what's that song? Oh yeah, you know, like that song from that's Psalms 23. He leadeth me to still waters and green pastures. And I'd say that's what that means. That stillness, that calmness that still waters have. And it really touches your soul when you just look out at a beautiful lake like that. I've been through there on my way to Maine. Oh yeah, you have to go through New Hampshire to get to Maine from here. Exactly. Yeah, Maine's beautiful. Yeah, you must have went up 95, right up over the bridge up into Maine. Yeah. Now what part of, I think you told me that before. You went to Maine before. I think I remember you had vacationed up there somewhere. I can't remember where, but I thought you did. Something about Maine. It seems everybody loves to go up to Maine. Yeah. And New Hampshire. New Hampshire is another one of these vacation destinations and things like that too. All right. PALJT. PA here. Pennsylvania, I would think. PA. Pennsylvania. All right. That's a beautiful state. That's a large state. Yeah. I was working actually. Oh, you were working up in Maine? Oh, all right. Okay. So that wasn't vacation. That was a work thing. All right. I can see that. Yeah. Maine is a big state. Man, what a big state. I know it's the only state. Here's an interesting fact about Maine and New Hampshire. The only state that borders the United States from Maine is New Hampshire. It doesn't touch any other state. It's the only one. I mean, it touches part of Canada, borders Canada, goes Quebec and all, Nova Scotia. So I was born in PA. Yes. Okay. So it's funny how a lot of us were born in one part of the country and then we moved to other parts. Yeah, that's common. Hey, I was born in San Diego, California, but I grew up in the Boston area. Then I settled in New Hampshire. That's why I have that really terrible, like kind of a hybrid between a Boston accent and a northern New England accent, you know, that there. So you can't get there from here. It's not quite that much, but that's that. It's kind of like I got that accent, you know. It's kind of like a, can't shake it either. It is what it is. I guess accents are, they stay with you, especially the older you get, I've noticed. So, all right, born in PA. Yeah, I used to do a little bit of traveling back when I was younger. And I went through PA a couple of times, and it's a beautiful state. Yeah, the Catstone. What are those mountains out there? The Poconos, or I know the Appalachian Mountain Trail runs through there as well. Yeah, in fact, that Appalachian Trail runs through, gosh, almost most of the eastern United States, anywhere from Georgia right up until Maine. That whole Appalachian Trail, and it goes through a major part of New Hampshire as well. Matter of fact, I believe, gosh, are the White Mountain region part of the Appalachian Trail? I think they run right through the White Mountain region in New Hampshire, but I know they run through a good part of the New Hampshire as well, the Appalachian Trail. I often tell people when they ask me where I'm from that I am from nowhere, just been everywhere. Okay. You mean like that Johnny Cash song? I've been everywhere, man. Remember that one? Yeah. Okay. I'm from nowhere because I've been everywhere. That's kind of a hey. That's a bit of a paradox. That's what that is, you know. Go figure, huh? You got yourself a paradox there. I like that. That's kind of a contradiction in itself, right there. So, but yeah, yeah, we all got to be from somewhere. Yeah, I mean, but yeah. So anyway, we that's good, Tom. Yeah, of course it was. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, you said it. You said it. I just kind of pointed that out. I mean, that was a good one though. But as far as the channel's going, yes, I'm very pleased that the support is out there for the channel. Oh, okay, 5 watching now. So anyway, anybody have anything else they'd like to talk about? Now, I want to make this somewhat about you as well, about the chat. Now, like I said, I see some of your comments coming up. If you want to have anything interesting about a question, a topic, anything like that in regards to our channel or about the INFJ or about MBTI, and we could talk about it. By no doubt, I mean you can throw anything out there you want. You know, question, anything. Maybe just even getting an old opinion. You know what I mean? Just an opinion about anything. That would be that would be fine. So, all right. But, okay. Oh, I plan on making another video. Maybe I'm going to make this tonight. Okay. Well, think about it. Just because we were born somewhere doesn't necessarily mean that you're from there. So people are born in cars. Oh, people are born in cars. Yeah. How about taxis? You know how many people were born in taxis? You hear about that a lot. Maybe not so much anymore. Maybe people are born in Ubers nowadays, in those Lyft cars. Imagine, you know, because a lot of times it used to be they'd be rushing somebody to the hospital. They call a cab. They're having labor pains. You know, so she gets in the car. Maybe the husband and wife are in the car. She's having labor pains. Traffic happens in the cab, and all of a sudden the cab driver has to help deliver a baby in the back seat. you used to hear stories about that a lot. That used to happen. So I can see that happening though. Yeah, so a cab driver has to learn how to deliver babies sometime, I guess, huh? Yeah, imagine that. Imagine telling that story, right? But yeah. No, so anyway, I'm thinking about making a video and pretty much talking about almost about the mind, the trinity of the mind. When I say the trinity of the mind, now listen to this, people. We have a mind that is a trinity in a sense. I mean, our brain is just a physical, organ. That's all it is. I mean, it has 2 hemispheres. It has the cerebral cortex. It has both, left and right hemispheres, things like that. And of course, all those folds. And there's trillions and trillions of cells in the brain. Also, there's glands in there. There's like pituitary glands, there's pineal glands, and things like that, and hormonal glands that release like enzymes and things like that through our life, through our growing phases, especially in our lives. It's almost like some of them have these timed codes to release certain like hormones. Like, for instance, there's a thing in our brain that when we're born, we have everything's timed. Like when we're babies and infants, toddlers, they don't come out. I mean, the hormones are there. They're just not developed. They're not awakened yet. But of course, once you hit like a certain time in your life, you start going into puberty. You start growing hairs. The voice changes, becomes deeper, because certain things in certain hormones, certain like glands start activating. Pituitary glands and things like that start sending signals for the body. Okay, start growing body hair. So the voice is going to change. Things are going to, of course, hormones are going to take over in the body and things like that. Now, I guess my video is going to focus a lot on that, on how the brain has its own, almost like its own universe in a way, because of things like that. And also not just in the physical aspect of the brain, but also the mind, and how there's separate entities. I mean, you have the brain, which is just the physical, tangible, okay, which I just talked about. But then there's also that mind, which goes deep. It's creative. It's just we're in our mind all the time. That's where we live. We're basically living in our mind. And of course, but then also there's a consciousness in part of that. That's almost intertwined with our thinking. It's intertwined with our mind. It's just the level that we acknowledge that we exist. So it has to be almost intertwined, like I said, in a way, like they're kind of conjoined in a way. But also there's a spiritual element, that spiritual dimension of our mind as well, where we are in our spiritual, like it's like we're receiving information from beyond us. Almost like I think that's tied into the intuitive, the introverted intuitive. It almost comes from a spot that is outside of us. Now, there's parts of us that we learn. As we're born, we learn through our senses and our eyes and our ears. We learn from people. We learn communication. We learn from things like that. But that's not all of our learning. A lot of our learning is actually what we're inborn to know. We have certain things like just understandings, almost like animals have certain instincts that they're born to know. I mean, certain animals know how to hunt a certain way, or they know how to swim in like schools in a certain way. There's certain connections that are inborn. And certain birds all have a certain code. I mean, you get a robin builds a certain robin nest, and every robin builds the same kind of blueprint of a nest, a round one with mud, and it looks like the bowl. And then you might have a hummingbird, builds a different kind of a nest. It's similar in its way, but it has a certain code that tells that specific species of bird to build a nest that way. My point is that human beings, we have that kind of ability. We have that almost an inner code to know things. But a lot of times we don't really tap into it, or it's never spoken of. A lot of it has to do with our internal behavior. A lot of it has to do with our internal reasoning. Of course, it's our logic, things like that, is where we gather our information. And a lot of it, I think that's the spiritual dimension. So I'm going to talk a lot about, I've covered a lot about what I'm going to say on that, I guess, but I'm kind of letting you in on it. But there's so much about the mind that I'm always interested in. And now, being that we're INFJs and we have a certain depth, and we're always fascinated with the mind because our mind is deep, and we have almost like an innate curiosity of our own mind, especially the INFJ type, because of these things. Because we know the way our mind thinks is as complex as it is it with the introverted intuition, the depth of it, the way it just because we want to figure us out. We want desperately to understand our mind. And we spend our entire life trying to figure out our mind. So that's why we're so drawn to psychology, so drawn to things like what I'm talking about right now, is those depths and things like that. So, but yeah, gosh, I just gave up. I gave away a lot about what I was going to talk about. But that's okay. That's okay. I'm still going to put it out. I'm just trying to troubleshoot it a little bit. I'm wondering if I'm going to use not the chalkboard, but the what do you call that? The print board. That whiteboard that I got. I have one of those. I'm thinking I might want to kind of diagram it a little bit and things like that. So anyway, that's I'm working on that one for one of my next videos. Just talk about the trinity of the mind or the brain, whatever you want to call it. Okay, let me see. I'm just checking some of your. That's good. Well. Think about it. Just because we were born somewhere doesn't necessarily mean we're born in cars. Yep, saw that. Don't the numbers on the channel subscribers will fluctuate, and watching the numbers will mess with you? Yeah. Remember, the numbers might not reflect the quality of your work and the impact. Oh, yes, absolutely. You can't just, it's kind of a scoreboard, I guess, in a way. I sometimes I see myself getting pulled into that, just looking at seeing when the number changes. I know what you mean, exactly what you mean there, spect. I hope I'm saying that right. Spect. I understand that, but It's just kind of a measuring stick. It's kind of I think of it more of a, because think about it. On YouTube, they have certain, there are certain numbers in that. I mean, in order to be monetized, in order to be anything on YouTube, whether you're recognizable, the 1,000 subscriber mark is one of those marks. And of course, the watch time, they require you to have 4,000 hours of watch time before you go into another category of being like monetized and where you're recognized as anything as well. So in that regard, YouTube has its own guidelines to start, changing things as far as your channels and how it's being recognized, how they set up algorithms. And also it does have a little bit of an effect because the higher the count of subscribers, the more likes you get, the more watch time. They're more likely to hold your videos in like algorithms and keep your videos into certain, areas longer than ones that don't get as much, ones that aren't getting as many watch time hours or clicks and things like that. So it does affect it in that way. So, but I do notice, like you said, it does fluctuate. In other words, usually it goes up, then all of a sudden you see somebody unsubscribes. and then it goes up another 10 or 12, somebody unsubscribes. And then you think, and then personally I'm thinking, oh geez, what did I do? Did I say something wrong? Maybe I said something in a video that they didn't quite agree with, so they unsubscribe. Makes you wonder. But then after that, you see 3 more subscribers come in and they stay there. And then there's more. So it seems to go back a little bit, but you're right. But altogether, there's, those unsubscribe moments, I've seen quite a few, not as many as subscribers, but yeah, it's just a way of measuring your progress in your channel. So, but these are little things I had to learn about over the course of, let's say, I'd say the last three or 4 months, almost 4 months since I've started this channel. There's a lot I had to learn, just little things, and there's still a lot I still have to learn about this whole YouTube things. But yeah, it's quite a development. That's why I say it's interesting, because it's kind of it's a hobby, it's an interest, but also above all, it's communication. Above all, it's knowing that people that I'm like-minded with are out there, and we don't have anybody that we're like-minded a lot of times in our life, people, and you know that. And a lot of times we've grown up feeling like outsiders and outcasts. But you find a channel like this, and all of a sudden somebody starts talking, and you relate to it, and you feel a sense of camaraderie. I hope I said that right. So yeah, but that's why these channels they flourish a little bit. I mean, that's not just common with MBTI channels. Every channel's like that, whatever the genre might be. I mean, you might get a guy that loves cars. He just loves vintage muscle cars from the 60s. And he focuses on that, and they talk cars. I mean, but there's a camaraderie with that car group. Now, there's a part of me that likes cars. I mean, I wasn't like crazy about them. I mean, I do like the artwork of some of the old vintage cars from the 50s and 60s. I love the way they were built. I mean, I do like the whole muscle car thing. And I think cars can be a work of art when they're put together just right, and they're beautiful, and the way they're polished and things. But I don't want to get too much into cars, but I mean, that's the whole thing. But we're MBTI. This is an MBTI. We focus on our personality types, our mind, our issues about our mind, about things that help us along the way, things that we want to be aware of, that we find some kind of bond with. And that's one of the things I do like a lot of, more than anything, is the fact that we have a bond with the channel and things like that. And that's what we subscribe for. Okay, let me go check some of your. All right, let's see. Okay, now what's the numbers? That's great. I'm looking forward to seeing them. Oh, now what do you mean, Cats in the Cradle? Seeing what? The videos that I was talking about? Is that what you mean? Okay, maybe you're talking about that. Knowing that I'm an INFJ and I get myself involved with learning all kinds of things. Yes, yes, we do. Yes, your videos. Okay, yeah. Okay, so that's one of the reasons. See, input like that's what I like. I mean, yeah, I like to know somebody likes the videos. I mean, things like that. That's awesome. Yeah, but I did let on a little bit about it. But I've always been fascinated with the mind. I think it's just something that, for some reason, even as a kid, I've know, but I know the mind can wander. There's some dysfunctional avenues that we can go into on our mind, and through our life. I think INFJs. That's another thing I was going to mention, that we can be prone. We can be prone to be led into shadows in our mind. I mean, we're not subject to anything or like anything heightened. A lot of times we can be lured into like escaping into our mind because we have a very vast mind, very deep mind, but an isolated mind. We're an isolated type of people, and we suffer a lot because of that through our life. And we're a very suffering soul, and we know this because this is another thing. A lot of people, you talk about suffering, it's not that it's not that physical suffering. It's a mental suffering. It's a spiritual emptiness. It's an isolating, a loneliness of a suffering, and we've all been there. And that's one thing INFJs fully understand, is that isolation, that loneliness that comes into our heart. Now, because of that, because of those emptinesses, and we have a lot of times, sometimes we don't know where to look. You can't just go down to and find a friend. You can't, hey friend, talk to me. And it's not like that. I mean, you could meet somebody, but what if they just? It's not a conversation that's going to fill you. A lot of times we're looking for a certain somebody, a certain type of friend, somebody that gets it, that kind of, we could look into their eyes and they're like, yeah, they see what I see. They have this thought process like I have. They see a dimension that I'm looking at. A lot of times you talk to somebody, or they'll want to talk about football or baseball. Yeah, it's okay. It's a little bit of friendship there, but it's shallow. It's just like surface. The INFJ requires a lot of that deep connection in a spiritual, mental capacity that separates it. So I mean, you can't. So when we're isolated like that, when we're alone like that, and we are completely alone, we know it, and it's like, well, who do you call? Who do you talk to? Who can you relate to that has that kind of depth of understanding, and the complexity of the mind is it's rare. That's why we are rare for that. So yes, we need a fortress of solitude or a battle cave. Yes. Well, we always seem to go. I call that the bunker zone. Remember that? That was my see. That was just my word for that. Yeah, but that's what I mean. So that's one thing that it seems the INFJ understands, of those moments. But my point is that the INFJ can be prone to escaping, leaving that reality of their life, finding some way of saying, okay, it hurts. It hurts. You're in your bunker zone, or maybe you're isolated, and you're brokenhearted, and you feel isolated, and you feel that depth of loneliness. So a lot of times we're prone. We can be prone to be led into our imagination, led into another world we're going to escape into, or maybe start being led into like pleasures. I mean, I don't know if there's any INFJs that get into substance abuse, alcohol, drug abuse. When I was younger, I had certain abuses that I used to do. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to smoke marijuana, things like that. I knew it kind of took me away a little bit. I'm sure sometimes there could be some drug addictions that some will escape into, because it's the pain of the isolation, because we're so isolated and it's so painful and we suffer, and you want to escape from that. You're going to look that we're prone to wanting to escape, but a lot of times the later we get in life, we realize At least with me. I can't speak for all of us, okay? I know that it eventually got to a point where I realized that my mind wasn't getting any better. I mean, if I smoked marijuana, a realization came up to me. I'm spending good money. I'm spending this amount of money every week. And how many thousands add up over the course of a year that I'm just throwing my money away just to make my mind lost, make my mind stupid. When I started realizing that, I didn't smoke it anymore. It was almost like a logical, you know, intellectual thought that I never smoked it after that. I think it was like right around the time I was 30 years old. That was the last time I did that. But my point is that's basically my point is that we can be led. We can be led down these avenues. And it's very important that INFJs, maybe early on in their life, they discover that they were led down these bad areas. Maybe they started getting involved with certain bad people that were bad influences, but it's not fulfilling. For what we think of those fulfilling escapes that we take, there's always something gnawing on the back of your head that just lets you know that it didn't quite fill you. It didn't quite take it. It just kind of made you forget about it a little bit. But now, when it's all quiet again and you go through that same isolation again, guess what? You have to face it all over again. It all comes back again, eventually, again and again. So you never quite escape it. So we might be prone to that, but eventually we have no choice but to face those things. Okay, I'm going to look at some of your comments here. Okay. It's really hard to find people to connect with. Absolutely, that's what we're talking about. We need a fortress of solitude or a battle cave. Absolutely. Well, we have those bunker zones. That's what I call bunker zones, yes. And what's another one? Cats in the crowd. I also enjoy listening to very interesting people, letting them tell us their stories. Oh, and I do that. I do that all the time. I'm always telling you stories. Hey. That's part of what I've noticed as I got older. I started to be a storyteller. And, you know, usually people like my stories sometimes. Hey, I'm glad. Thank you. Thank you. Well, that's why I do this. Okay? Knowing that I am an INFJ gets me involved with learning all kinds of things. Yes, of course. And, yeah, definitely. All sorts of things. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure through our life we watch a lot of movies, we read a lot of books, and we like to travel. We probably spend a lot of time just going into nature. I've always loved that. I've loved to just find quiet, peaceful, tranquil places to go. And I think that's all part of our solitude. We crave those alone times. I mean, we almost like it's necessary. It's not just a want or a need. It's like, as much as I need that food over there, as much as I want that cheeseburger, I need my lake. I need that serene, peaceful, calm lake so I can just think for a little while. Yeah, it's like food, isn't it? It's like needing food. You need that lake wherever you go. Yeah, we are part of the puzzle pieces that's a missing from the world. Oh, so okay, so the world is a puzzle, missing pieces. And so you're saying that the INFJ personality are the missing pieces in the world? That's interesting. I love the way you just put that. That metaphor was brilliant. So, yes, like floating down the river. Okay. I love your stories, Tom. Okay, thank you. So, but I like that. So we're missing puzzle pieces. It's like we're trying to, yeah, you get that whole jigsaw puzzle, you miss one or two pieces, and it just, if you see those missing pieces, you are drawn to those missing pieces. The whole puzzle can be filled, but you look right at that missing piece, don't you? Yeah. And that one piece just kind of makes the whole puzzle incomplete, doesn't it? So now you're saying the INFJ, they're the missing piece. Yeah, but they're the missing piece that's kind of ignored a lot of times or disregarded. Yeah, that piece would go great right there. But you know, you hear them talk and how deep they get. It's like, wait a minute. Let's try to find another piece, one that's a little more basic. You know what I mean? A lot of times that's what happens. That's why we are misunderstood, though. We would be great pieces, and you're absolutely right. And but we tended to get ghosted a lot too. Something about the way we think. It's so deep, and it's so like a lot of times it's intimidating these people. I mean, the way we put things together, think about things, and people don't they don't see the depth. Their mind isn't thinking the same way we do. They have that complexity, and it can intimidate. It can just make people say, you know what, it's too deep. I'd rather go with something a little more conventional, a little more normal in their way. Yes, we are missing pieces trying to help the world be better. Yeah, that's pretty much a lot of it, yes. I mean, in our own way, everybody's got a way of being better, definitely. Now, a lot of times you hear about some of these celebrities that are INFJs out there. Occasionally you hear some, and there's a few. Like they say Mel Gibson. Did you know he's an INFJ? Mel Gibson, all right? Then you hear about Taylor Swift. I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan. She's a singer, and but I guess I've heard that she's an INFJ personality. And there's quite a few. I mean, maybe I could list off a few. Maybe you know a few more than that, but there's a lot of them. But my point is, do they get into their films, their music, in order to try to that's their creative venue to change the world, because their lyrics, their presence on stage, what they stand for? But then again, Marilyn Manson, he's supposed to be an INFJ too. I think he's a little bit unhealthy, just a little bit. I mean, personally, but I guess I've heard that he was INFJ, Marilyn Manson. I'm not a fan of his. He's kind of a little bit bizarre for me, but my point is that their way of being helpful to the world, like their communication, maybe their style of if they're an actor or actress, that they make movies to try to help the world. Maybe the roles, because some of them are selective about the roles that they take. Some will say, no, I don't want to do that. They want to stick to a role that is something that's relatable to them, things like that. So it makes you wonder if that's part of what their contribution to the world is that the way they conduct themselves in their films and their music. Okay. Missing pieces, trying to make the world a better place. Absolutely. Of course, that's what it is. That is exactly what the INFJ is. But yes. Boy, I love this. Gosh, I'm actually enjoying this live. I got to tell you, people, this is very, very enriching just to be here talking to you. It really is. But yeah, we tend to just want to enrich the world in our own way. It's funny you mention that, though. Cats in the cradle. I think maybe I'm going to say, I can't speak for all of you, but maybe there's a little bit of something in the back of our mind that always said that you had a mission, that there's something you were supposed to accomplish in life, like a goal that was supposed to help the world, that was supposed to change the world, and just like you have. I don't know if it's all of you. Maybe you could tell me that in the chat. Did you always have, even as a small child, have an idea that you were supposed to be finding something someday? You were supposed to help the world in some small way, in your own way, and change it. Let me know. Maybe you know that in the chat, maybe. Because, I mean, I remember being younger, especially thinking that, and through some of my life, I thought, that's not happening. Sometimes you kind of give up because you think, well, maybe it's not it. You put that idea out of your head. But then later on in your life, you start realizing, oh my gosh, you find a YouTube video and you see this INFJ thing. So you start looking into this whole personality type and you say, oh my gosh, that's what I am. Oh, they like to change the world. They have a purpose. Well, I've been thinking that when I was a kid. Little thoughts in my head used to come in like, I got some purpose. I'm supposed to be something someday. So I don't know if anybody else feels like that, but yeah, I think a lot of times, yeah, that's the revolutionary spirit in the INFJ as far as that goes, that they're trying to that they're trying to change the world in their own way. That's the revolutionary in them. But they also know that there's something that they have to offer. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we know our mind, how it works, and how complex it is, and how deep it is. But it's just us. It's in our own individual mind as individuals. But we keep thinking there's things in there. There are thoughts, there are patterns, there are ideas that I have in here that would help the world, that would help people, that would revolutionize. I even have inventions. There's an invention like an electromagnetic engine invention. It would take a little bit, but it would help the world. Even that, or just I mean, that maybe that's an abstract thought, but I mean, some would think that. I mean, I've even thought I've had concepts in my mind about inventing things, and they never played out quite. But I think a lot of times that's what we are. We just tend to think that we can help out in the world, and that's. But bottom line is, yeah. But if anybody else, yeah, we're the missing pieces trying to make the world better. Yes, of course, that's what I mean. But a lot of times, yeah, we feel as though we have a mission that we're supposed to accomplish. Part of me says when I started this YouTube channel, that's part of like what happened. Is one of the reasons I enjoyed doing this, and I gravitated to this, especially as an INFJ, because I was able to have a way of mass messaging myself. All of a sudden, you could put out a video and express yourself and talk, and there would be you could find people that would relate to you, or just whoever was willing to listen to you. And I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe this is what I was supposed to do. But I had to reach a certain level of maturity, a certain level of gravitas in my life. I had to, wait 60 years of my life before I was ready for that as well. And so put a video out, express yourself, try to make it right. And now, so, I mean, I'd like to think that some of my videos, they're bits and pieces of advice. They're just bits and pieces, fragments. Each video has a certain, covers a certain topic, a certain different topic. I mean, you can't keep going with the same thing. It's all INFJ related. Yes, it's all focused on our personality type, and it focuses mainly on that. But there has to be certain areas that it focuses on especially. And as far as, obviously our introversion, our isolation, our confusion to the world. I mean, we have a lot of drawbacks because of that. And of course, those have to be forefront because a lot of INFJs are suffering and they don't know why. A lot of them, us, I should say, I mean, not just them, us. A lot of us suffer, and through our lives we have. And a lot of times what hurts me the most is an INFJ that suffers in vain, that suffers and doesn't know why. And I guess part of why that hurts me is because I think each and every one of us might have suffered in vain in our life where we thought, who am I? Why me? Why do I go through this? And it's in vain. It almost feels like you want answers. You want to find answers in ways. And but you feel like it's in vain. Like it's just nobody's going to hear you. It's just you. You're alone in your world. You're alone in your mind, suffering, empty, isolated, alone. And you wonder why. Why me? And then because you look around at a lot of people around you and say, no, they don't appear to be looking like that. You look at the look in their eye. They're perfectly content being in this world, being able to look at a movie, go laugh with people, talk about ice cream in an ice cream shop. And they can talk about these simple, superficial things that keep them entertained. And then they can get up and do it all over again. Call their friends, talk about things that, like I said, it could be ice cream in a shop, and talk for hours about flavors. It's like, and then, meanwhile, we're here saying, gosh, who do I talk to? I can't have a friend that's going to talk about ice cream flavors. I'm just throwing that as an example out there. No, we need depth. just the way we're talking right now. Now, I understand it's just me talking, but you want somebody that has a little bit of a depth behind what they're talking about. Something beyond just the surface. Something beyond what we see in the tangible world. Something that goes deeper. So a lot of times INFJ suffer in vain. And early on in our life, because and that's why I say we're prone to escaping into things. We're very prone to going down bad avenues. That's why another reason why I put that INFJ outreach for the younger ones. And I'm trying to throw a lot of that's part of my duty, and why I think I have a mission is to at least be that older mentor to warn some of these INFJs in there, like maybe they're from the time they're 16, when their hormones kick in, when their lust kicks in, their mind kicks in, things like that start changing. And of course, now their mind. They're growing up, they're getting into that adulthood. They're 2 years away from 18 years old, and you're a legal adult. But still, by that time, all these things start playing in, your hormones, your things start kicking in, but also the confusion of your mind, the confusion of your thoughts. And so this is an extremely difficult time for INFJs. And I know what was with me. I'm going by basing it on my own experience. I had a difficult time at that time. I ran away twice. I think I mentioned that. I might have brought that up in a video. And I wandered alone. And I had tents and things. I was pitching tents on the side of roads. I was wandering. I mean, sometimes I'd hitchhike and things like that. And but bottom line is, it was a troubling time, and I could have been led down very, very destructive paths of my life. Luckily, I didn't. But that's what I mean. That's what gets me, is the fact that we suffer in vain, and we wander, and it can be a painful journey in a lot of ways, depending on how confused we are, and if we have nobody to confide in, and we don't even know our type, we don't know who we are. We're lost. It's like we have these thoughts, these things are going on, but we don't know how to control our mind. We've never really been reeled in. All we have examples in this world are just other types. And being that we're so rare, we're the rarest type, you have other types. You have a lot of extroverted types. Part of you says, maybe I'm supposed to be a little more outgoing. Maybe these were the ESTP types. So a lot of our times is that we are influenced by other types that are content with this world, that are content with the tangible world. Okay, they're extroverted sensor types, let's say, or they're sensor types, and they get excitement from, like I said, the superficial of the world, and they seem to be fine with that. But then you look at the depth of these intuitive introverts. Okay, not just us. Like I said, the 4 intuitive introverts that are deeper than that. But our examples are those. So nobody ever told us that we had these separations, that we had this way of thinking that was deeper, that we would never find comfort in this world. Okay, I got to roll myself in. I'm rambling on a bit. Okay, hold on. So let's see. I'm going to read some of these. Okay, we need to be part of the world, but not of the world. Oh my gosh, you know what, Spec? You're absolutely right. I've said that. I mean, not here, but you're right. Be in the world, but not of the world. Exactly right. In other words, you're living in it, you're part of it, but you're not of it. You're of the world. You were born here, but you're not kind of with it. You're in it, but not with it. You're kind of with, you got exactly. And we're the missing pieces trying to help the world. That is not part of our journey that calls us discovery. That is not part of our journey. It calls us to discovery. Question mark. I'm not sure I quite get what that comment was. Is that a question or is that a statement? Could you clarify that for me, Spect, what that means? I remember you saying that, Tom. Yes. Okay, yeah, no, I sometimes repeat myself a little bit. I may have said things before, but I guess a lot of it is that I guess bottom line is that that's what my mission here is the fact that is that we find each other, that INFJs like I said, that's why I call this a safe haven and like a kind of a safe haven for INFJs, because this is the place you can go and talk. You know what I mean? This is the place that you're going to hear things that are just down to earth that we can testify to. Now, not to take anything away from other types, but there is a couple of other INFJs out there that are very advice, that have a lot of advice. Again, some of them seem very. There's a couple of them. They always seem to focus on things, but they seem very, very produced. Not just, I mean, that's their style and it works, but they reach certain audiences. And there's a couple of them that are very adviceful, and they talk about, like for instance, Wennis. I'm going to give her a little bit of a plug now. I used to hear her back years ago. She's a young lady. She's from Europe somewhere. Whence she's got the epic life. I do listen to her from time to time, and she talks about how a lot of her advice is on how to relate to people. A lot of her advice is on how you relate to people. And I guess a lot of the thing is that INFJs, yeah, we have to relate to people. But a lot of times we're the isolated type, but we do have to go to work. You got to function. You got to eventually, maybe people want to get married, have spouses, have children. So you got to relate to people. But a lot of hers focuses on finding things where you're in relationships, things. I think a lot of my focus is the fact that I think we have to relate to people. We have to be able to communicate, but a lot of it is also how to relate to yourself, how to be comfortable in your own mind, because a lot of what we have, is the confusion, is that needing that whole completion within ourselves. And a lot of it is we're basically alone anyway in our life. And that's basically what it is. We're kind of a separate entity in our mind, in our spirit, in a lot of ways. And we all are. We have a unique solitude. Every one of us do. Not just INFJs, we do, but some of us don't realize that. But especially, I think INFJs are aware of that unique solitude that we have. Because we're so aware of it, we experience it. And we can go very isolated and alone, which we have. But I think a lot of what I try to focus on is the fact that we need to be comfortable with who we are. You can't love anybody else unless you are comfortable and love yourself first, unless you find that kind of completion in your own heart, until you found that whole inner completion, that inner stillness, once you figured out your own confusion of your life. And when that starts dying down, I mean, I think at that point there, now you're able to expound it a little bit to others. I mean, along the way, we try to find that with others, but a lot of times we drift back because we keep drifting back into our own solitude. We need that. It's just the way we're built. So we have a unique solitude we keep drifting back into. But yes, that's pretty much what I try to focus on is finding yourself, finding contentment in your own heart. Okay. But it's with my journey, it's not easy. And I think maybe it isn't just my journey, because my journey had a lot to do with being very isolated, being very alone, and actually finding no other way out, no escape until you found completion in yourself. I found a sense of wholeness. And okay, I'm gonna read some of your comments here. Oh, Wens, I watch her sometimes. Yeah, she's all right. She's okay. Related to the pain of discovery. Related to our pain of discovery. Okay, all right. Because, yeah, it's something about that is the pain of our journey that is called our discovery. Okay, the pain of discovery. Well, a lot of times, some of the hardest lessons that are learned are ones that are learned the hard way, I guess you could say, so. But the pain of discovery. All right, I get it now. We are the missing pieces. Yes, okay. No, but I mean, I think she has some good points in what she talks about. She always talks about you can't pour from an empty cup. That was one of her sayings. I don't say that because that's hers, but I'm saying I'm giving her credit where it's due. That's one of the things that stuck with me. You cannot pour from an empty cup, meaning if you're incomplete and you're trying to help people and you feel incomplete in yourself and you're drained all the time, how can you pour from an empty cup? You have to first fulfill yourself. You have to first feel full within yourself as an INFJ. You have to find that sense of completion. I guess that's basically what I'm saying. Before you can fill anybody else, before you can pour outward, you can't fill from an empty cup, and which is one of her brilliant statements, I guess, that she used to say. Yeah, but she's got quite a following too. In fact, that was one of the first algorithms that I saw was one of her channels, and that's what drew me in to think, am I an INFJ? She started saying things that I related to, and then I watched her again. I was like, wow, she's talking. And so then all of a sudden, it's like, why do INFJs spend? Why are they alone a lot? I'm like, gosh, I'm alone too. Why are they always single? Oh my gosh. Then everything just started making sense. So. Yeah, so then it kind of snowballed from there. But then I started watching other ones, and now, hey, I got my own channel here, and here we are. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's bottom line is what we have to, is we are we kind of have to figure ourselves out first. We have to try to be comfortable with our own self. My mom used to say that. I told you about my mom earlier on. If anybody heard that, I suspected my mom was an INFJ. But she used to always tell me that, before you can be comfortable or before you can love anybody else, you got to find yourself. You got to be content with yourself. And I thought, okay, she would say those things a lot growing up. You got to find yourself, because if you're looking for somebody to complete you. If you feel alone, you feel hurt, and you gravitate toward, let's say, a wife, let's say a girlfriend, and in my standpoint, or it could be anything. You look toward a relationship to fill you. And a lot of times that's what people do. Human beings do that. We think that our answer is finding love in somebody else, finding that contentment in the arms of somebody else. Well, you know what? You're opened up to being taken advantage to anybody. Like, let's say a man. If a man is not complete in his heart, if he hasn't found his completion, he hasn't found his inner stillness, his inner calm, he hasn't found God in that way, okay, his spirit, then, and if he looks outward for a woman to fill that void in his heart, okay, what's he doing? A lot of times women sense that. They sense that, and they resent a man for doing that. They will resent a man for looking for a man's love, a woman's love from a man, in order to fulfill himself, and they take advantage of men like that. And so I think I understand what you said. You can't, if you are not complete and whole in yourself, and you look outwards for somebody to fill you, another human being, a woman, or even women do this with men. If they look for these, then they're looking for themselves for completion. And that leads to dysfunctional relationships. That leads to these terrible marriages that always end up in fights and divorce and abuse and neglect and affairs. A lot of these happen because of this lack of God in a relationship, lack of completion between the two, lack of having a wholeness. And so much of it happens because that's the fundamental function of why families break up, is because they haven't found that wholeness in first. Okay, I remember physically looking into your own eyes in the mirror until you see yourself. Or I recommend physically looking into your own eyes in the mirror until you see yourself. I do that all the time. You do that too? Oh my gosh, you do that too, huh? Of course. That's funny. That is absolutely funny right there, because I've done that most of my life. I think as a kid, I can't remember. I might have been 8 years old, and I used to always look into my eyes and ask them, "Who are you?" I mean, literally, I get it. Maybe it's something we all do as INFJs. This is probably something we do. Expect looking into that mirror and try till you find yourself. I've been trying to find myself most of my life. In fact, you ever look into the mirror? Now here's an interesting one. You ever look into the mirror and see a stranger? You're looking in those eyes and you don't even know yourself. Okay, there's times in our life you're actually, you don't even know. It's like, who are you? You're looking in the mirror and you see somebody strange looking back at you. Until you don't look like a stranger anymore. But well, I mean, even now, I still look into those eyes, trying to figure myself out, trying to look into my own soul for that reason. Now, you're absolutely right. That's a deep concept right there, what you just said. But I wonder if we all do that. Do we? I wonder if that's something that's common with the INFJ. Do we always look into the mirror and try to figure our own stuff out? Maybe we can put that in the chat. That's a good question, though. Yeah, I recommend. Okay, yeah, yeah. See, that's. I'm glad you said that. That's unique there. Yeah, but to go back to my original point, though, a lot of times is people try to fill themselves with other people, with a relationship, thinking they're going to save them. And in fact, in a way, we are culturalized. Society actually encourages that. Is that a man is nothing without a woman. A lot of times we get that put into our head as a young man. We're supposed to provide, and we're supposed to love a woman. We're supposed to get married. We're supposed to be father and things like that. But there's the step you have to take first. You have to find completion in yourself. You have to go through your own fire. You have to be secure within yourself as a man. I mean, women too. I mean, don't get me wrong. Men and women, we all have to do this. But as a man, speaking from a man's standpoint, before a man can get married and have children, he has to be complete within himself. He has to find completion in his heart, in his spirit, in his soul, and not need a woman's love, not being the essence of his life is to be centered around her love fulfilling him. My mom used to tell me that. She used to tell me that. In fact, I'm saying this because a lot of times my mom said that. Now, are these things INFJs would say to another? I mean, maybe, because I told you, I think my mom was an INFJ now that I look back into the history. And it's unfortunate I couldn't have asked her that she had already gotten old and she had passed away before I could have said, Mom, have you ever heard about this MBTI, about, how they... I couldn't talk to her because she had already passed away. I would have liked to have just maybe, because she was so interested in the mind and interested in deep conversations, she would have probably gravitated toward that, maybe, to a point. And then just, she would have seen some of the resemblances there in that personality type. I just wonder how she would have receptive to that. So, yes, but, yeah, anyway, hey, there's 8. Somebody else came in. There's 8 of you out there. 8, and plus me. So there's a total of 9 of us in this conversation here. Well, whoever you are, whoever's out there, welcome. Welcome on in. I hope you stick around. This is INFJ Live. INFJ Experience Live, I should say. So, but yes, absolutely. We need to find that fulfillment in our heart before we can do pretty much anything else. And but like I said, this is where this is at least just a forum that we can speak of it, and that's what this channel is all about. Cats in the Cradle. Being so short height wise, my eyes are oh. Being so short height wise, my eyes are all I see. Oh, I think you told me that. Yeah, you said you're like, 5 foot something. Yeah, I do remember you saying that. Yeah. Well, remember, I mean, hey, INFJs is very versatile. I mean, you think about it, we all have a certain mindset. We think similar. We have ways of patterns. We think very, very. We process things, but gosh, we're human beings. And INFJs can be any race, any gender, anybody can be, any part of the world. The INFJ may be rare, but it could be anybody, exactly. So, So you really can't just base somebody's what they look like and say, oh, they don't look a certain way. They can be anybody. Yeah, that's right. But yes, again, but Specht, he had a very but what that thing about looking yourself in the eyes. I think we all do that. It's funny, like I said, I'm glad you brought that up. That's definitely something we probably all have in common. We want to figure ourselves out so much that we even stare each other in the eyes in the mirror, trying to see if we can figure out our own windows to our own soul and our own mirrors. That's how deep we go to figure out ourselves. Yes, and we probably periodically stare in that window and that mirror, excuse me, to try to figure out our own eyes. So, yep, I'm a Smurf, LOL. Hey, at least see you're poking a little fun, But you're not blue, are you? Are you blue? No, I'm not kidding. Hello again. Hey, the adulterous creation, the alter. Hello again. I hope you took my comments for the humor intended earlier. Okay, are we talking about earlier today on this broadcast, or some earlier in like a comment that you left in one of my videos? What do you mean by that? Dallas creation. I'm trying to make sure I get that word right, your name right. De Dallas. De Dallas. Okay, De Dallas. Okay. The Dallas creation. Okay, I'll get that right. No, is that what you mean by the humor intended earlier? Yeah, I didn't know where I commented first when you weren't live yet. Oh, all right. I probably didn't see that one. I was still trying to get the camera right, and I think I was adjusting it. Maybe it's way early on. But what did you say? Okay, but yeah, like I said, early on when I was setting that thing up, I was just trying to make sure everything was getting taken together. Joked about INFJs and the troubles with clocks and calendars. Oh, okay. Oh, clocks and calendars. Yeah, well, those are all both time references. Yeah. I mean, as much as we plan, we're typically the J types. I mean, we throw plans out there. And I plan this since, of course, the 300 subscriber mark showed up. And I've been planning. I figured I'd do it this weekend. I didn't want to wait another weekend to do it. But yeah, you're right. But even then, I still had to kind of get things set up and get everything squared away. And I made sure I shaved I shaved probably an hour before this thing happened. I fixed the hair up and got the jacket on. So, but I prepared for the whole thing as far as that goes. Yes. But, okay, clocks and calendars. Yes, I seem to remember seeing that, but that wasn't, yeah, okay. All right. But, well, anyway, I hope everybody's enjoying this live broadcast. I'm glad everybody showed up. Definitely. So, but now I do have some plans for the future with the channel. I mean, right now, my source of technology right now is my iPhone. I made sure I got a decent iPhone, which I'm looking into right now, and this is how I broadcast. Eventually, I'm thinking I want to get a decent computer, one has some kind of graphicness and things like that. I'd like to get one of those small studios, either for this office that I have here. I mean, I might set it up here, but I'd like to get one of those computers. I'm actually looking to build one. Maybe if anybody has any computer knowledge or anything like that, I was looking at like YouTube videos on how to actually build certain computers put my own CPU on a motherboard and maybe the RAM processor and the memories and things like that and CPU units and put together the whole package in itself and whether or not that would be cheaper or whatnot and just have the whole thing so it's like my own computer. So I'm planning to do that. But eventually I'd like to get other cameras and maybe get a microphone, do one of those almost like a blogger type thing. I'm wondering if I'd like to do that. But for right now, just doing this channel, just having the INFJ and coming up with my own content seems to be doing all right, you know. But it's definitely resonates with these people, with you people, with us. It's as long as it resonates and it's creation. I mean, that's okay. Oh, okay, okay. Delius creation. Okay. The okay. I'm just I historically am blind to the clock unless I have an appointment or an important date scheduled. Okay. And I overthink and get anxious ahead of time and procrastinate. Oh, all right. Yeah, I can see that happening. Yeah, sometimes I have. Sometimes that happens when I have like a social event. If something like an old friend invites me over for like a picnic or not a picnic, but a cookout or something. Occasionally, once a year, I have an old friend that I've known since I was a teenager, and you know, she's married. She's got her own husband. You know, it's nothing like that. But yeah, but I'm the same way. And sometimes I'm like, oh gosh. You know, sometimes you get cold feet. Like I'm hoping the plans cancel. Then I can be like relieved. Like, oh, good, it canceled. Like, oh, what a relief. I mean, occasionally because you're over planning, you get nervous, and I know what you mean. Yeah, we all do that, and because you're actually thinking not just of the event, you're thinking what's going to happen in that event. What if you meet so and so? What if you see this one? What are you going to say to that one? How do you even? You're even sometimes planning what you're going to say to certain people in these outings. You know who's going to be there, and maybe you haven't seen them in years, but you already know what you're going to say, what you want to talk about. Like that's how deep the planning gets. With me, it is. It's like that. So and then that throws a lot of anxiety in there. Like, oh, wait a minute. What if they do this? What if they do that? So, and then a lot of times you're just saying, oh man, how do I get out of this? It's like. I think we all do that. As INFJs, sometimes we get cold feet a lot, and I think a lot of times we just, yeah, I definitely get those feelings. I so many I, there's so many possibilities to prepare for, etc. Yes, time, taking, taking of time. Good night, all. Fantastic stream, Tom. And congratulations. Oh, Spect, you're taking off. Okay. Well, thank you for showing up, Spect. I appreciate you being here. I do. Okay. Well, thank you again, and I hope to see you again on the next one. All right. I'm glad you're out there. Thank you. But yeah. Well, I think we got another 20 minutes here. I intended to go 2 hours on this, so. I didn't write anything down. Typically, I used to write down topics and things like that. I just thought, you know what? I'm going to ad lib today. I'm just going to be myself and talk and just respond to a lot of your texts on here. Just see some of the things on here. But yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I tell you, I do like the channel, and like I said, if it's all about that, yes, we're. You know, the live stream is great, but yeah, the channel is good, and I'm kind of glad it's coming around. I mean, it's like I said, 300 may not be a lot. It's not quite I'm not in the realm of 1,000 or anything like that, but I'm still a small creator. But you got to figure all of these creators must have started off somewhere. They must have started off small. They had to have, and they just built themselves up. They had to work out a certain level of likability, a certain level of respectability for people to want to just come on in and subscribe and just be part of it. And that's basically what it is. But being that the INFJs are so rare, we have that. That's what it is. But I'm sure that being that I've seen a lot of different channels on INFJs, and some of them are the generic ones like Mind Nation and things like that, where they just show a lot of AI. Things like that. A lot of those they're informative, and I think a lot of them get to the basis of INFJs, but a lot of them seem very like rehearsed and very like homogenized. You know the old saying, homogenized. How do you homogenize a video? Now I'm not cutting it down, but I mean that's what I'm saying. Of what something that's very processed, as far as a video. Now, a lot of these are very well put together, but they seem like when you start getting into that homogenization, almost like when you're making milk. I mean, you take the raw milk and you process it, you get out you treat it a certain way to where it's drinkable. Well, I mean, I think in a lot of ways, I mean, INFJs, a lot of times we want the raw milk. I mean, not figuratively, of course. Yeah, we want that thing that's unfiltered. Sometimes I try to be, just as is. Good night, Spect. Oh, all right. So, but I think that's a lot of it is what we have. Okay. So I mean, I guess maybe that's a way of putting it. I mean, I'm trying to just keep it more basic, keep it just as is and things like that. Oh, I'm learning the process myself, and I have been taking the slow road. The feeling of putting myself into a category is a struggle. I can empathize. Okay, put yourself into a category, yeah. Now, you mean like the INFJ category, like your type category? You mean like that? I mean, it is, I sometimes I understand what you're saying. Sometimes I wrestle with the whole idea, like, is that a category? Oh, content creation. Oh, are you a YouTuber as well? I'm going to take it. You probably are a YouTuber then. Content creation. Yeah. You'll have to let me know. Maybe you could give me a link and I could check out his channel. Is it an INFJ channel by any chance? You'll have to let me know that if you got a channel. At least just give me some kind of link. And that way whoever's here, yeah, we can share a little bit and we can check out your channel if you'd like to do that. You know what I mean? Definitely. But, okay. So that's, okay. Yeah, but I guess bottom line is, I guess I'd like to be the raw milk, like the unhomogenized one. Well, I talk, I just speak my mind. I like to think that I try to be myself, just be who I am. And that's the way I approach this. And I catch little bits and pieces about INFJ things. And yes, I definitely am related to a lot of these things. And sometimes, like I said, I put out another video last week about how do you actually know you're sure you're an INFJ. And I guess a lot of times it's common for INFJ type personalities to question. We're always questioning, even though you get a result. You might take a test and you say, you relate to all these videos. You relate to the INFJ and you see how rare it is and you go through all of this. But still, you get a test as you're an INFJ. But then you go back to saying, am I really one? For some reason, we're never quite convinced. And that's just something we have to live with. Even now, occasionally, I question that as well. I says, well, that's just typical then, isn't it? Yeah. I have chemistry and woodworking, and I have an INFJ video I am trying to make, but I am overthinking. Chemistry and woodworking. Okay, that's interesting. And, well, that's kind of, that's a neat combination. So are those two separate channels you have, or is that one channel that covers both of those? Because I'm trying to think of how you mix chemistry with woodworking, except like maybe treated pressurized wood is where you need the that's the one fusion I can come up with. But chemistry is kind of its own entity. Woodworking, they seem separate. And like I said, unless you're talking about pressure treating. So. Yeah, but eventually I was thinking of that too. If I can get this channel to take off, if I get a little bit, some success with this channel, I was thinking I might want to start another channel. But right now with my work schedule and, maybe, things like that, I got a lot of work. So I work 40 plus hours a week. So of course, during the week, it's hard to kind of juggle around making videos and editing videos and things like that, and then having to work 40 hours, then that just leaves me a couple hours in like the weekend to put together a couple of videos along with, having to do my weekend chores. So, former chemistry teacher, now woodworker and mad scientist, huh? Oh, mad scientist, huh? I take it you have the INFJ personality affliction as well? I would imagine so if you're putting out a video for that, yeah? Yeah, okay. So, but yeah, we are definitely a unique breed here. Now, just think of that. So, where are you from? Where are you from, Darius? Darius. Are you from the United States by any chance, or are you from outside the United States? Are you what? I'm just curious. I mean, you can generalize. You can just say, yeah, you're from. You don't have to tell me exactly where you're from. I'm just curious if you're where you're from exactly there. So so anyway, people, I hope so. I'm glad you all stuck around. I hope you like the channel. And like I said, I have some ideas for some latest videos. In fact, tonight I might do that one about the mind. I had said that earlier about the trinity of our mind. I'm still working on the idea for that. I may just have to do a diagram. But it's also going to kind of merge into why meditation and why understanding our mind is so unique. And because a lot of times what our problem is when our mind gets jumbled. I guess maybe that's what I wanted to talk about is the fact that we have to understand that we have a trinity. We have mind, we have spirit, and we have soul. That is part of our mind. Of course, the brain is just the organ. Like I said, that is just the tangible organ. That's the flesh part of what we are. But mind goes beyond that. Our mind is much deeper than just the brain. I mean, that's just where it's being held. I mean, there's a center of consciousness, which is our soul. There's a spirit, which is almost our inner code that we have to search out. And of course, the mind, that's just our thoughts. That's everything that we accumulate. These are our knowledges. These are our memories, our experiences, everything that we grow from, everything that formed us, shaped us. So we have a trinity of mind. Now, I think a lot of what we have to do is, I call it that trinity, is because in a way we have to find ways of separating the three through our meditation, finding a way of, making this is our soul, okay? This is our spirit, and we're aware of them, and this is the mind. And I guess maybe I should leave a little bit up to the imagination, but a lot of it's going to focus on that. I'm still kind of working on that, but that's the basis of it. And I'm thinking a lot of times INFJs, it's important for us to know this, that the trinity of our mind has to be almost looked at. So we understand it fully. You have to sometimes you got to take things apart in order to see them piece by piece. It's, you see what I mean? That's how we dissect certain things. Or, you might take a little machine. You want to see how it looks inside. What do? You take it apart. You take the engine out. Maybe you take these little pulleys out over here. You take that apart. And you kind of lay them out. And then you try to put them back together in such a way. That's what we do with tangible, like machinery things like that, right? And being that, Darius, you're a mad scientist and creator and all that, you understand what I'm saying. I mean, so I think a lot of times is, in a psychological way, it's up to us to kind of segregate our own trinity of our mind and try to understand it separately. And because otherwise, when it's just one big swirl, when it's one big chaotic bunch of swirling, everything's kind of conglomerated together, that's when a lot of our confusion comes out. I hope I'm putting that together right, but okay, let me see what you got here. All right. We have, I think the brain and the spine, the antenna, I think of the brain and spine is the antenna for the signal. Okay. All right. Recently found the subject and definitely comfortable in the fit, but I also learning. I live in New York. Okay, New York. All right. All right. Yeah, so the mad scientist. Upstate New York or New York City? Gosh, I hope it's upstate New York at least. I heard New York is pretty dangerous nowadays. I heard it's a really rough area down there. New York City especially. I mean, it always has been. It's always been a rough town. I heard it's really extremely dangerous in certain areas in New York City. Hopefully you're not down there. I totally hear you. I refer to that chaos as the storm. Oh, yes. Yes. Okay, I understand that. But anyway, I think a lot of the times now, the older I get, I'm getting more aware of of my mind, and seeing the separate entities of it. That way, it is a trinity of mind, just as God is a trinity. Well, especially in the Catholic Christian faith. Okay, I'm basing it on that. You have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. There's a trinity of God, but in my understanding, I think, like I said, there's a trinity of mind. There's a trinity of our world as well. Mind and soul and spirit, and that's one of those things that's all part of it. And I think, like I said, it all has to be kind of observed separately and together. It's kind of it can be a little confusing, but at the same time, it's not. But a lot of times, that's how we have to kind of figure ourselves out, as to, because, like I said, INFJs, I know this is something we gravitate toward in our life. We so desperately want to understand ourselves, and I do. I'm part of that group, and I think that's why we gravitate to these channels, because bottom line is we want understanding. We want to just completely understand the way our mind goes, the way we think, the way we process everything about it, because of the confusion through most of our life that we've had. And we just want to end it. Eventually, just find some kind of relief, some kind of peace to finally understand ourselves completely, you know. But I think it takes a lifetime. This is one thing that I'm finding out, is that it takes most of your life to figure this out. Because when we're younger, it's definitely not. That's not the time. This is the time where is the most confused, and I think that's the most difficult time of an INFJ's life. Is right around the time they're, like I said, in their teenage years through their 20s, even into their early 30s. That awakening, things start developing. Things start not only just hormones, not only just that, but just certain awarenesses, certain maturities start taking over, where you start processing things different. Your mind starts getting a little more depth to it, because you get outside of your infant, or your childlike. You go from an infant to your child to your young adult to your adult. Your mind changes along with your perceptions, your depth of things, and how you process things. Yeah, you start developing, and because you're getting more wise to things too, you're getting more mature. So everything starts taking a fold in that way. Let's see what you wrote there. I have seen it referred to as the conscious, unconscious, and the universal mind. I like how you are describing your understanding. Thank you for your creating this channel. I appreciate your perspective. Yeah, that's pretty much it. See, even Sigmund Freud called the id, the ego, the super ego, and the id. That was his way of describing it. I do believe Carl Jung, is that not Carl Jung's description right there, what you're talking about? I think that was what you're referring to. Carl Jung, he was deep. You want to talk about the godfather of psychology, man. Now, this guy, obviously, he's the one who came up with the whole MBTI. I mean, he didn't fine tune it until the Myers-Briggs kind of mother and daughter or something kind of put it into 16 categories, 16. But yeah, that was all Carl Jung is at that point, where he started coming up with the whole mapping of the four components of the personalities, about the introversion, and of course the sensing versus intuition, and how it all broke down into different personality types. But I think that's what can you tell me if was that Carl Jung who said that? The consciousness, unconsciousness, and universal mind, or was that Sigmund Freud? I know those two are the pretty much were the modern day psychologists in a lot of ways. I think Carl Jung took it into the spiritual realm, though. He started looking into this deep unconsciousness and things like that, and subconsciousness. And yeah, he got really deep. But he also focused on, I think he was INFJ, or he was INTJ. He was one of the introverted intuitives. So he had a very, very vast look into that realm that I talked about before. That whole erratic mind of the intuitive, that abstract world that is introversion. Yeah, he saw into that, and he came up with a lot of different concepts into that. It could be Jung, yes. I have been kind of ravenously consuming psychology info. All right. I have an extreme IQ and basically am addicted to learning. Okay. Extreme IQ and addicted to learning. Yeah, you know what? That's good. That's good. Hey, I think learning is something. You definitely. I mean, you got to take things in bits and pieces. A lot of times we bounce around from thing to thing too. We kind of get a little bit erratic and things like that. But no, that's good. That's part of what we want to be as far as that goes. We want to be somebody. We want to be able to yeah. But it could be Carl Jung here, right? Definitely. That's probably who that was. Okay. Well, anyway, oh my gosh, I have 4 minutes before it's going to be 6 o'clock. Now I had this as a 2 hour broadcast, and I tell you, 2 hours went by pretty quick here, people. I just been talking the whole time, and I tell you, well, I'm kind of glad everybody showed up. I thought this was enjoyable. Now I didn't have a script. I didn't come rehearsed today. I didn't. I used to, last broadcast I had 15 minutes. I wrote down, I'm going to talk about this, talk about that. I didn't do that today. I just kind of threw it together and thought I was just going to talk more to you people out there. I wanted to look at your comments and get to know you a little better in that way. So that's good. But yeah, that's basically why we're here, though. Because we are all extremely addicted to psychology and info and things like that. Yeah. And occasionally that's what I like to do. I like to cover some psychology aspects and things like that. Did you happen to see my video, The Frankenstein Syndrome? Now I'm Darius. I'm not sure if you saw that one or not, but that's an interesting one. If you are an INFJ, that's quite, that one opened up a lot of eyes. If you happen to see that one. There's a couple other ones. I got another one that I wrote down was the trap. It was the Messiah complex trap. That was another one that I came up just trying to. Occasionally, I like to come up with and just explain like some psychologies and things like that. Yeah, because I figure that's something that INFJs will really gravitate toward is the mind. But like I said, now. Maybe tonight I'm going to record that video about mind, body. What was it? The mind, oh, now I'm thinking too far ahead. The Trinity of the mind. That's it. That's what it was. The Trinity of the mind. Yeah, that's going to be the name of that one. I would love to connect further down the road. Thank you for your interaction and experience. I have to check out your other content further, but those titles sound familiar. Maybe you already seen that one. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, but those in particular, I'm going to have to do that every so often. Just come up with some more, some more of those things going on here, as far as that goes. So, good gosh, I'm 1 minute away, people. I already said it's going to be a couple hours here, so I tell you. Listen, so people, I want to thank you again. Whoever's still hanging around out there, thank you so much for supporting the channel. This is not just my channel. This is all of our channel. And you all help this channel to be what it is. Your support, your subscriptions, your thumbs up, your comments on this channel is what gets the algorithm working. It isn't just me. It's your input. If I didn't have any support and people didn't tune in to me, I wouldn't have anything. I wouldn't have a channel. You are this channel. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being there. And continue to support me. Continue just to subscribe to my channel and watch my content. That's all I can ask for, people. And I tell you, for the ones that showed up on this chat, I've recognized the names. And, oh, I know you are, Cats in the Cradle. Hey, listen, I see your comments quite a bit. You are, I know who, yes, exactly. But I want to thank you all for being out there, because you all mean a lot to me, especially when I see these ones in this chat. I'm talking to you directly on here. I remember you. I have a good memory for things like that. And I remember what we talk about. I like to think that I stay engaged. You're not just a number to me. You know, you really aren't. You're people out there. You are fellow interesting people that we have some kind of bond with. And I'd like to think that you're special in that way, and to this whole INFJ channel that we have here. Remember, people, this is like a safe haven. And now I wanted to ask you a question. Maybe in a couple of years, do you think that's possible that I could maybe do maybe some one-on-one kind of like through the internet, some kind of one-on-one advice, like a hotline, like maybe spend an hour just talking to people one-on-one? Do you think that would be something that would help? Would people be okay with that? If they would they be or not? I'm just throwing that out there. Just doing a little poll. Maybe you can let me know if maybe in the future I could do something like that, or maybe just come up with an ebook. I see some of these creators have ebooks out there too, where they just have a whole ebook and they put it online, they sell it and all that. I mean, I don't know how deep I can go. I mean, this channel is one thing. Then there's always little things that kind of branch off from that too. But I guess that's going to take a little bit of time. For right now, building this channel, building an audience, having you people out there is what's going on. And I'd like to think that that's the mission right now, is at least just building it up as it is. Yes, something to think about. Yes, we'll think about that. Like I said, I'm just throwing that. I was kind of throwing that out there. I still have a ways to go though. Okay, well, people, it is 6:02. My gosh, I can't believe it. Some kind of video meeting appreciation could allow you to have something like that. Yeah, I think there are ways of doing that. Just have some kind of like one-on-one consultations. Because I got to tell you, sometimes people just they need just to talk, and they just need just to know somebody out there is thinks like them. And like I said, I know us as INFJs, just knowing, I wish I could have had somebody to talk to being a younger man. I mean, there were moments in my life, and like I said, I had my mom, but she still had her own life. I mean, she couldn't answer all the questions, And your brothers, you had only limited. Sometimes you almost felt like you didn't want to talk directly to your family, but you never had anybody out there to talk to. And you had to kind of feel around and figure things out on your own. And sometimes it's nice to know that there is an alternative out there, that you can just level with somebody, talk to somebody. And they could just use their experience. They don't have to be a certified therapist, somebody who went to college. Now, actually, that could be a disadvantage. Sometimes these certified college types they're just very rehearsed. They just regurgitate a lot of things that they just learned from college. You want somebody real, somebody that just had life experiences, that just had an experience with life and had their ups and downs, and how they dealt with their own mind, their own confusion. And these probably are the best ones to talk to, because they've been there and done that. And maybe in the future, I'd like to do something like that. But yeah, if that's something that you think I could do, I would definitely do that at some point. But again, people, I'm going to be kind of shutting down the broadcast at this point. I'm going to have to leave this. It's been my 2 hours. But again, thank you so much for showing up, okay? And I really appreciate that. And to anybody who missed this broadcast, I'm sure it's something that can be rebroadcast in the future if anybody's interested. Okay? All right. Well, people, thank you so much again. Anybody can hear me. Thank you for all your support. And good luck again. And I'm sure I'll have another one of these lives. Maybe in another month ago. Excuse me. In a month from now, I'll do another one. I want to keep doing these. All right. Well, people, again, thank you so much again. And as I always like to say out there, have a wonderful rest of your day. Well, thank you, people.